Again.
Sure.
Change it to.
That one?
Yep.
Morning. Oh, totally different angle. Same thing, but moved.
That's weird.
I mean, part of me is like, that's very weird, but also it does appear to work.
Yeah, how come you can't see? Oh, you're just too far to the. Yeah. You are unmuted in recording, so I don't know if you want to mute, stop the recording and then start it when you go live.
Yeah, just there's a pause button panel up at the top. Those folks in.
And it's 10 a.m. Please join us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome everyone to the August 8th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners meeting for Huerfano County. The next item for consideration is the agenda approval.
Commissioners, one change in the agenda to add under appointments meeting with Nick from American Fidelity.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second that. Motion and a second discussion. Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Angetta,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Consent agenda.
Commissioners, for the agenda for today, I have the meeting minutes from July 11th, 2023. I have a resignation for Isaiah Vigil and Jessica Espinoza, termination for Carrie Kessner, a pay increase for Francisco Lattis, position change for Stuart Pino, a pay increase for Morgan Chapman, and an abatement numbered 23-18 for Dennis Saramuga, Kathleen McCobb, Jason Saramuga, Carrie Jean Saramuga Ibarra for the year 2022 in the amount of $585.59 for schedule number 225875, and they says a recommended approval.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second that. A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Angetta,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next on our agenda is public comment. Public comment. Anyone online, public comment? All right. We'll move to appointments. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Would you please identify yourself for the records?
Yes, my name is Nick Dial. I'm with American Fidelity, currently serving Huerfano County in the benefits communication and open enrollment support.
Thank you.
Reason I'm here today is there was some modifications to some benefits that we oversee here at the county for the employees. They were as a result of some changes related to state mandates and requests to our programs. The two that I'm referring to are disability and critical illness. So recently, you all, I believe, may remember the passing of the Proposition 118 back in 2020 election, where it passes on to the employees of public and private sector the option to have paid family medical leave. And as a result of that, private disability programs that are offered through employers had to change as a result of that passing of legislation. And so there's a new master application sent to Carl for review and for the commissioner's review and signature, where it just simply allows the modification to take place. So what that ultimately means is that the plan is going to mirror what the state is not, it's not mirroring what the state is, excuse me. What it's doing is it takes into account the PFML portion, and the disability is then modified to be appropriate to the state's plan. I know that the county did not participate in the state plan as well.
Correct.
So this build out was more of a macro version. So it would be in compliance with PFML, and it would also match current industry standards and economic standards for the disability. So changes were relatively minimal. Benefits were adjusted and actually amended and improved to this new program. So premiums aren't going to affect anything related to the county. Right now, the disability is on a voluntary selection by the employee. There's, in terms of participation requirements, there is a minimum, of either 10% or 10 employees or 20% of the staff, depending on what's greater. But if I'm understanding correctly, I believe Huerfano County is not under one of our associations, so we normally match that. We haven't had an issue with the participation requirements in the past, so just to make you all aware of that. In terms of some of the benefits, maximum benefits did increase as a result of the changes. So with some of our higher salaried earners, they have an ability to cover more of their income on the program now. And there's some additional adjustments and things like that where they can assume some additional benefits within the program that is no additional cost to them either. I try to keep it relatively simple, if you'll forgive me.
That's good. And we don't have this in our packet, correct?
I don't have that.
Forgive me, I sent it late last week, but I can resend it to you.
Yeah, you sent to me. I don't see anyone from you last week.
Excuse me. You'll have it again by today for sure.
Okay, so I'll put it in our next meeting packet then.
Okay.
We'll decide it then.
Great. Secondly is the critical illness. This one's a lot easier to explain. There's no premium adjustments to the staff on this one, but the benefit amount does double. So the low plan, which is a $10,000 indemnity amount based on a heart attack, stroke, major organ failure diagnosis, is now $20,000. The high plan, which is $30,000, is now $60,000. And both of the disability and the critical illness are going into effect January 1st. And so the master contract, which is ultimately what's needing to be reviewed and signed by you, it just simply authorizes the changes to those programs, allowing the employees to simply update their coverages to the new plans themselves. And to my knowledge, we haven't, there's no rate increases on the critical illness and very little on the disability. And so you'll see that next time around. I apologize for putting this on your last minute here. So
No, not a problem.
thank you. Do I have any questions from you?
I don't have it.
Okay.
No.
For future communication, I'll work with Carl and Angela in terms of any outstanding requests or clarifications. I do know from our particular standpoint, we're looking to implement this before any open enrollment for a January 1 effective date, which I believe is set for October. So I know we have at least a few weeks to be able to still review that. So
Awesome.
thank you so much for all for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. No other appointments,
No other appointments,
no land use issues, items,
no land use items.
then action items.
Commissioners, first I have for you on action items, the vendor run for July 2023. Total amount of that vendor run, $273,741.46.
Motion to approve the vendor run in the amount of $273,741.46.
Second that.
I have a motion, a second. Any questions? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ojeda,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha.
Yes.
Motion passes. Commissioners, next I have for you a proposal from McKinstry for the Phase 2 Architectural and Engineering Design Services for design development, construction documents, permitting, pre-construction service, and grant writing assistance for the 129 Kansas Avenue dispatch and EOC remodel. So commissioners, as you might remember, we went through preliminary design with McKinstry already, and we've used that to submit a DOLA grant. This next phase is part of the request we understood it from you all to be able to move this project forward as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. So the goal here from McKinstry and staff has reviewed this and thinks it fits in the goals that we think the direction we have from you guys is this will mean that by the time we are awarded, hopefully, assuming everything goes according to plan, if we're awarded the DOLA grant, we'll be able to start construction once we have the contract issued or soon thereafter.
What is the award projected date? Roughly.
February of 2024. So this would enable us to start construction, hopefully we think in the 3 months after award. It would mean that by the time we're awarded, we are complete through construction documents and everything and ready to roll. The total amount for that scope, for the total amount for the scope is $168,450. The amount that we're asking you to approve today, or we're going to pay out before the grant, is the design development and the grant writing assistance. So that's
75,000.
yes.
74.
75. 67,000 design development and then grant writing 8,000.
Yep.
Page 27.
Got it.
So I'll make a motion to approve the grant award scope for design development and grant writing assistance in the amount of 75,000.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Discussion.
Yes. The team from McKinstry is on the line. So Will and Ashley, if I messed anything from my presentation there, if you want to correct me.
No, Carl, that sounds right. So we are going to move forward with design development, or the plan would be upon your approval to move forward with design development drawings with the deadline of November. And then once we are notified of the award, we can begin in the construction drawings. Once the final February contract is finalized, we'll be through construction drawings. We'll be into the city for permit review, and we'll be finalizing contracts or agreements with subcontractors so that we can get underway as soon as possible once we have final contract with the state, with subcontractors and approval from the city. So
once we're awarded that grant, I'll bring this back to you for the post-grant award scope.
And then in addition, in the future, will there be project management?
project management is included in the grant scope
During construction.
during construction, that phase.
Okay.
So that's part of what we applied for to DOLA for is the project management portion of this.
Okay.
And this fee is coming from the emergency services funds.
Is coming from money we've set aside for this project.
Yeah, then Carl, just to clarify then, once we are through the phase 2, which gets us through pre-construction and permitting, then we'll have a phase 3 construction contract. But we'll work on that post grant. And that'll finalize concurrently with the permit review and approval from the city.
So let me clarify, because I think I did say this wrong. So this contract is for the pre-grant award and post-grant award. And then there's another section that Will just mentioned, that is construction and post-grant contracts, so things that are paid for out of the grant. So in this proposal, that second portion, that post-grant award scope, that is county money as well, without grants to go along with it, in order to be ready to start construction once we have a grant contract in hand.
And when do you expect that to be needed?
Not until next year. So that's my preliminary guess. You know, DOLA moves at DOLA speed. I don't think that we'll get award. It'll be later this year.
Is this December 1 grant?
No, this grant was already submitted.
Okay.
Yeah. So the award should be sometime November, December-ish. So I think most of these costs, regardless, will be 2024 costs and not 2023 costs. I'm not certain of that. So basically,
So you want to revise a revised motion?
so how about you approve this contract and authorize us to issue a purchase order for the first amount, and we have to bring the second amount back to you for a purchase order. Does that make more sense? Or
Yeah, but did you include that in this motion?
No, you'd have to withdraw the motion. And do a second motion.
Motion and
Do you withdraw your second?
Yes.
Okay.
and then make a motion to with your changes. Do the pre-grant and post-grant.
So approve the contract at $168,150 and authorize issuing $75,000 and requiring staff to come back once the grant is awarded and a contract in place. Work.
not contract in place, but once grants awarded.
Oh, awarded, yeah.
So if it's money spent before the contract is in place, it's ineligible for that grant.
Correct. Depends on how long you want us to wait in order to be ready to go into construction. I also want to remind you about how long DOLA has taken to issue contracts recently. By coming back to you at award, we can also have a more in-depth discussion on this too. That way we can set a better idea of what our timeline is. There are still more grants to be gotten.
That's music to our ears. That's music to our ears.
Second.
You got that, Sam?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Andretta,
Yes.
Commissioner Schoolleader, Chairman Galusha.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right. Thanks, Will and Ashley.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioners, next I have for you a purchase order for school outfitters in the amount of $3,085.09. This is for playground equipment for the Gardner Community Center. I would propose to take these funds out of the CTF money the county has received.
Which CTF?
Conservation Trust Fund. So it's money set aside for, generally speaking, parks and recreational activities. We're sitting on a decent amount of it at the moment too.
Motion to approve the purchase order number 133 in the amount of $3,085.09 for playground equipment for the Gardner Community Center.
Page was that final number?
33.
Oh, okay. Second that.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion. Thank you, commissioners, very much. This is my district. I appreciate it. Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Andreetta,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha,
Yes.
motion passes. Commissioners, next I have for you a purchase order for Civic Plus LLC in the amount of $7,380. This is for our annual subscription to Munico meetings, board management, and meeting hub. So if you remember, this is, so Carl wasn't here for this, but last year you asked us to bring this back to you before, well, it has to come back to you because it's an annual subscription, but you asked us to come back and make sure that you guys were okay with this payment. There was a slight issue where finance paid this before they were supposed to, in the chaos of Nancy leaving and things like that. But this is the software that we use to create meetings, track board appointments, accept letters of intent, all of that. As far as, there was a question last year about, does this help the voters or the residents of the county? I think without this software, we wouldn't have been able to combine two positions earlier this year and create the position Sam is now occupying, because it would have been, the time to create the board books would have been, it was too long to allow something like that. So that's my statement of benefit there.
Well done.
I would make a motion for the purpose of discussion for purchase order 134 in the amount of $7,380 for the annual subscription to Civic Plus.
Second that.
A motion and a second. Discussion.
I think it was last week you mentioned getting rid of a government website, which is how you did your financials for budgeting.
Yes,
What it's called, ClearGov.
clear.
ClearGov. Is Civic Plus have any benefit to you on that? Or what is your plan to use the software for budgeting? Or are you just gonna do spreadsheets?
Conversation later in the meeting too, but
Okay.
yeah, essentially we're not quite back to the old way of doing big old budget spreadsheet. Civic Plus does not offer a budgeting solution, but CIC does include a budgeting module.
Good.
It is, so I've just submitted the budget packs to everyone, and I've given them a spreadsheet that came from CIC that I've modified to look something like our old budget packets used to.
Okay.
So what they have now are a series of worksheets, a personnel budgeting worksheet, a expense worksheet, and a revenue worksheet, which that revenue worksheet for certain departments is more helpful than others, because if you're treasurer, assessor, clerk, you're getting the whole general fund revenue worksheet and being asked to pick your revenues out of there. Whereas for, like, say, emergency services, they have a fund, they need to do the revenues for that fund, same thing with Parks and Rec, Road and Bridge. So a little bit of both. It shouldn't be too onerous. The biggest thing that's taking all the work is what we just did, which is getting the actual packets out of the door. Now there's no system that we can just refresh and upload to say, all right, here it is, go put in your information here, and we're done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a motion and a second. That's any other discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Jetta,
Yes.
Chairman Glacier.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Commissioners, next I have a request from Sherry Ferris for a temporary closure of Dry Creek Road, County Road 363. I think the last time this came up, I told you guys that if there is a access to public land, that you have to have a hearing. I went back through statute again. I think I misread something. And that what that actually says is if a road has been, if someone wants to block off a road that's been abandoned, it lays out a process for that. So I think a temporary closure, this doesn't lead to like high public lands like Forest Service or National Park Service or anything like that. There's a school section there. So I'm not particularly concerned, the school sections aren't exactly where you go out to go hike. They're revenue generating things for the state. So I think you are good to vote on this without a hearing. I might ask Lisa to double check me on this. But I didn't get a chance to get to it this morning when I finished my sort of cursory review of statute and everything.
I think Ryan has.
You mentioned temporary closure. Is there a reason for temporary closure?
Please state your name for the record.
Oh, sorry, Ryan Geese, local County 363 resident. This road runs from the Anselmo Ranch back over to Levita, and we've traveled that a couple of times when we've decided to go the long scenic route. Just curious what the purpose of that closure of that road is. I know that it's not used very often, but it's there and we drive it.
So if you look in the packet, the landowners are basically saying that they've encountered a number of issues and they're requesting it.
Sorry, the packet was not available on the HTML today, so it's just PDF forms in there from what I've been trying to pull into it.
Okay, I'll look into that.
I apologize for that.
I mean, it's a scenic route, which are not really purpose, but there's homes up there and or buildings up there. I don't know Ms. Ferris, and I don't know really the purpose of that road other than for scenic driving. But my dad loves it, and so we drive it whenever he comes to town. So I would be opposed.
I see a hand from Sandy White. Stay right there, there may be more. Good.
Or some giant thing.
John, are you calling on me? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, Sandy, he's calling on you.
Okay. Look, my point on 363 is that, as you know, it's probably the only secondary emergency exit for both the Waiatoya and the School Creek neighborhoods. If things are blocked off in Levita, as the Levita contingency plans provide, in case of a flood or a fire, there's no way to get out of those two neighborhoods except through C363. And I disagree. I think whenever you are going to close down a county road, it's not a federal statute, it's your own land use code that requires there to be a public hearing. So I would ask you either to continue this until you figure it out with Lisa, or to continue it to a scheduled public hearing.
And I'm going to say that I agree with that thought. I know that this road has come up at least 3 times since I've been here.
Seems like every year, yeah.
This isn't a simple one like some of the other ones. And the other thing I think we need to research is to collect HUTF funds on a road. Can we allow that road to be locked? And I don't know the answer to that.
The answer to that is yes, but we still have to maintain it.
Okay.
So the locking of a road is in statute similar to tolling a road. It makes it a limited access road. Highway, which we refer to as an interstate, but it's still allowable. But most of the roads that we have closed, most of them are unmaintained. And closure doesn't mean vacation.
Right.
So I don't think our land use code, is on my head, addresses anything other than vacating a road.
So I know of 3 roads that we've allowed to be locked.
Including one a couple weeks ago.
Right, so above Minigotti's to the old, what was his name? Anyway, and then one on Minigotti's property to a cemetery, and the one for on 6 Ranch that was all ranch property. So I don't think that this is a viable emergency egress. I don't think that, but I agree that this one has more impact than the other ones that we've closed, and probably should have more in-depth discussion before just dealing with this in action.
Yeah,
That's
this
my
one
preference.
has allowing traffic.
I don't believe that it's maintained. It's pretty rough. I mean, there's definitely some drainage issues and some other parts of that right about the middle of the road. As far as maintained, I don't think there's been a motor grader on it in years, but
There's been a motor grader on that every year.
every year, well, I only get to see it once or twice a year, so I'm not.
What you're talking about is a lack of gravel, which is.
Yeah, I mean, it's drivable. He's got a 2-wheel drive truck. We don't even 4-wheel drive up there, but that's just one of his favorite drives when he comes to town. So as far as tourism, I understand that the homeowners don't want people just driving around through there, but.
Well, you know, we have lots of trash on our road, and maybe you'll close 361 for us, just to keep the riffraff out.
How would you get home?
Oh, I'll make it home, don't worry.
Anyway, that was my comment, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it's the pleasure of the board.
For more information.
I believe you can direct Lisa and I to look more into it, what's required. You can say yes, you can say no, you can set a hearing. You can take no action.
What are you gonna do?
I will abstain because I have family members on that road, but I just want to point out that the letter says it would stay open for emergency access and for county use. So that's the request. And that I don't believe you need a public hearing because the other road closures didn't follow a public hearing. So that's just my opinion as a commissioner, but I will abstain formally to the vote.
Do we take action on this? Do you want direction? So
Direction, you know, if you tell us what you want to do, you don't have to do anything. You can just say, move on past this.
Leave it the way it is.
You know, if there's more you want, tell us.
Well, so I see both sides of this. I agree.
And it's a
with
beautiful road.
landowners that, you know, this is a place where people go and don't really have, a lot of people don't have a valid reason for going up there except for booze cruising. Some people like it for the scenic beauty, but I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling one way or another on what to do with it. So.
So is there a motion?
What do you want to do?
Well, I think it's one of those roads that is one of those beautiful roads in the county that a lot of people I know of that go up over that. Now, I thought if there's an emergency egress, I thought we ought to look into that more if that's part of the.
So when we do one of these temporary road closures, because I think they have to be renewed every 5 years or so. There's always a lock on there. They're daisy chain locks.
Oh,
there's always
okay.
one on there for that dispatch has the code to.
Yeah.
So if any reason we need to get in there, road and bridge, emergency services, somebody to evacuate, that's on there.
So Carl, that means that if we want to get out through 363, we have to call dispatch and get the combination.
That's how this typically works, yes. Because like, for, say, for instance, the one that is,
So it would be closed to general public. It would be for emergency services and local traffic only.
So how about the people in Little Kansas or the people on School Creek who can't get out through Levita and need to use 363? They call dispatch and get the combination. Is that the plan?
yes, that's how that works. So
And have you ever tried that, Carl? You have any idea how long that takes? Because we have.
that is the standard procedure when the county does this.
But if there was an emergency, the county would open it.
But I got to tell you, the standard procedure doesn't work. At least it doesn't work in the event of an emergency.
I mean, if you're asking the commissioners to review all of these road closures, that's that. But I'm telling you what we've done on other roads, not what we would do on this one.
Okay.
The other ones are all dead end roads too.
Yeah,
They don't have, that is the
they
only
don't have
outlet.
it.
Over 9 miles long.
Again, I don't have an opinion on this, guys. Don't yell at me. I'm saying what we've done.
Yeah.
It's all your fault, Carl.
Gosh dang it, Sandy. Sounds like there's not a motion on this.
I don't feel comfortable closing that offhand.
Okay, at this point, no action, and I don't think I'm hearing direction from the commissioners to staff.
All right.
Thank you.
Next, commissioners, I have for you. Ryan, that packet is now on there. Sorry about that again. Next, I have for you a request from Huerfano County Economic Development, Inc. For $20,000 for a hotel feasibility study. They've been working with Cobblestone Hotels to bring a cobblestone hotel to Huerfano County, but they'd like this feasibility study to be open to all brands. And it sounds like they would like this to be something that is countywide, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what their approach to this is going to be, but from talking to Carlton, it sounds like he wants this to be a countywide survey or study.
Was he gonna look into other funding mechanisms to help with that?
I don't know the answer to that.
I think if you put a criteria on it, you'll have to.
Here's my question that I have. Are they eligible, is Huerfano County Economic Development eligible to go to DOLA and ask for study funding? Are they eligible to go to Office of Economic Development to ask for funding?
Yes, but I'm not sure that OEDIT does this kind of funding for this kind of thing. It might be something that the Colorado Tourism Office might do occasionally. There's a whole lot of mites in there, though.
Yeah, like a little more information to answer some of those questions.
Okay.
So I'm hearing no action and board or staff direction. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't agree. I would like to make a motion to approve the $20,000 to pay for a hotel feasibility study but encourage economic development to find funding sources. So if that study is going to be countywide, going to town of Levita, the city of Wellsburg, seeing if they'll pitch in. Also seeing if there's any grant funding available, but I think it's something that would benefit Huerfano County.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, because I don't want it to just be a blanket, we give them the money and not have at least try for something.
So is that a second?
Is that a second?
So that's a second with that,
So-
with those parameters.
I would say that instead of encouraging them, you say
Requiring them.
acquiring them and saying that you'll fund X amount if they can find the rest of it.
It would have meant the motion to be 50%, so 10,000.
Yeah.
Second.
Second, 50.
I have a motion and a second discussion. I like that. That's consistent with other funding that we give other agencies.
Yeah, exactly.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Jetta,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha.
Yes.
Motion passes. Commissioners, next I have for you a request from Economic Development to provide funding for a professional to oversee the, let's call it the integration of the Spanish Peaks Chamber of Commerce into economic development. They've requested $40,000, which is funding, I believe, for a full year of that position. As a general matter, for these kinds of requests, I would advise you to not fund the position, but to provide funding that can be used for a position. So that you're not the ultimate funding source of someone's salary and therefore liable for employment decisions.
What is your opinion on this?
I think it's needed. I think that, the whole chamber piece of it, I don't know how much that is a portion. I don't know how much I really and truly think that that's a big driving force. There's a lot going on for economic development at the moment. Broadband, hotels, the industrial park or truck driving school development. There's a lot happening there. And I'm a little concerned that the volunteers that are doing the work are stretched too thin. And if key people are burned out, the momentum that's been building in this county for a number of years will end. So that to me is the bigger issue rather than funding position to help integrate the chamber.
And you have funds for it?
Hmm?
Do you have any funds for it?
We would pull this out of LATCF money. I guess in line with your previous, comment with John's comments about how we normally do developments, it probably wouldn't be a bad thing to require them to put in some money. It also, I question whether they need a whole year right now. I question whether or not it's better to fund this through the end of this year, maybe the first couple months of next year, and then reconsider it, the rest of this request in the budget.
Yeah, I like that idea.
But I do think they need help now.
And I don't want to feel comfortable with having losing the momentum, because it does seem like we're really working on some good projects for economic development.
Right.
And that's huge.
A few years ago, the commissioners funded a VISTA position for economic development that has gone unfilled. Vistas, after the pandemic, it became very hard to find. That is still floating out there. That's about $10,000-ish, $10,000 to $12,000-ish. That's has never come due. It might be a thing to have them cancel that, or for us to say, as the entity that signed the contract with DCI, to say this should go over to another organization that needs help, rather than economic development, since we're doing, if we decide to do this. So those are my thoughts.
Let's make a motion to support the economic development to the end of the year with the caveat of getting the Vista
Mhm.
monies that are floating out there for that, to apply that towards this funding need.
And a dollar amount.
What you need to the end of the year. Half. It's not quite 6 months.
Yeah, half-ish.
Yeah,
If we're,
50%.
yeah.
Right now.
So do you want to do 50% of the total, or 50% of the portion of the total? Sorry.
I'm right there with same thing. I think we need to have them put some skin in the game, so I would really like to see us support half of their request. And if we're only going to re-support that request at the end of the year, I'd like to see half of the half. That's my opinion.
Agreed.
I agree with that.
So you would say 10,000?
Yep.
That's your motion.
That's my motion.
Second.
I have a motion, a second discussion. Do you have that, Sam?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Jetta,
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Chairman Gosha.
Yes.
Motion passes. Commissioners, one more thing from economic development. This is a letter of support that economic development has requested that we submit to the Colorado Broadband Office on behalf of Jade Communications. This is for a project where Jade will serve 389 Huerfano County residents in and around the Navajo area with fiber to the premise. They have asked us to contribute waiving the permit fees, which I have told them that we are willing to waive the permit fees, but not the bond. But I think that this would be a great leap forward for broadband in Huerfano County. Broad Navajo is, I think, the largest community in the county that does not have reliable broadband service. Some 500-ish people. So that's it. It's a nice project to only have to pay for maybe a permit fee.
So the letter says southeast Huerfano County. 300 unserved and 89 underserved locations in the southeast area of Huerfano County.
Yes, and while we would consider southeast Huerfano County with the median point of I-25 and 160, I think that if you look at that map there, like you're doing there, John, and you find the middle of that map vertically, Navajo is sort of in the southeast quadrant of the county.
Southwest.
No?
Yeah.
Where are you putting that boundary? I'm putting it like right at 520.
Yeah,
Down center.
that's more southwest.
Yeah, I think that wording can be tightened up. But we didn't draft this letter, as you might tell.
Okay.
Motion to approve the required community letter of support for the Huerfano Highway 160 project with staff direction to clarify the area defining southeast or modify it accordingly.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? So it's clear that we will consider removing the fee for the excavation, but not the bonding
Yeah,
requirement.
not the bond.
Correct.
Would you like me to add that to this letter too, to make sure that that's clear?
Yes,
I can add that to the motion.
I agree.
Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ojeda,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha.
Yes.
Motion passes. Commissioners, let's have your request to approve the submission of a letter of intent for a DOLA Strong Communities Infrastructure application to advance the Gardner Main Street development. If we are invited to apply and award the grant, this project would cover the installation of storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water, electric, and cable. The total size of this project is 3.6 million, with $3 million being requested from DOLA and $600K in local match. I anticipate applying for Prop 123 funds, utilizing county ARPA funds, and applying for private grants to complete the capital stack for this project. So this is a portion of the infrastructure, of the public infrastructure required. The total public infrastructure required for that project, based on Bruce Roscoe's estimate, is a little over 7 million. A lot of that is roads and asphalt and sidewalks and curb and gutter, which I'll say there was dispute about whether or not that was needed or not. So because of the size of the grant, they recommend a size of 1 to 3 million, and 4 is the max. I think going in at 3 is a strong ask, and it leaves us room to not have to commit to the road design portions, which we may or may not be comfortable with at the moment. Like I did that one.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that said, that $600K, I don't expect that to come from us entirely. I expect that we'll have to find a developer partner that's going to work with us, that's going to help fill out the capital stack. Some of it's going to be debt, whether that's debt held by us or held by that developer, to be determined. But and especially that the rest of that remaining $4 million there, we have to figure out how we're going to approach that, how we're going to attack that to get the project moving forward. That said, development is expected to pay its own way, and this does pencil from the pro forma with the home sales, but of course, certain costs have to come first.
You get ready.
My timing, excellent.
Yeah, yeah. You've done that before.
Make a motion to approve the submission of a Strong Communities Infrastructure Grant Letter of Intent for the Gardner Main Street development with a tentative request of 3 million and a tentative match amount of 600,000.
Yes.
I have a motion and a second. In discussion. Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier, Commissioner Ojeda,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha,
Yes.
motion passes. Commissioners, next I have for you 2 quotes. And this is more of a request for direction at the moment than it is to expend funds. Actually, it's going to be a little bit of both. For the AWAS system at the Spanish Peaks Airfield, to our best investigation, that structure was, the AWAS was hit by lightning and it fried part of the system. The system is also past its end of expected life. So the cost, there's 2 costs here. There's the cost to replace the total system, which is $134,766. And then there's the cost to replace just the parts that are no longer functioning, which comes in at $70,896. I believe that $70,000 number will be mostly covered by insurance. We haven't submitted this yet, or we Right. Minus the deductible, of course. So I expect it will be covered. We still have to go through that process. I think that we can get some money from CDOT to pay for the full replacement. I'm not sure how much or sort of what they would consider the full project.
I would make a motion to approve the invoice in the amount of $134,766 for DBT Transportation Services LLC, with the understanding that the county will ask CDOT Aeronautics to fund a portion of this. And in the event that they don't, can't, or refuse, approve the invoice in the amount of $70,896, while encouraging county staff to seek reimbursement from the insurance company.
I have a
Very well
motion and a second. That was very thorough.
Very well put.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ojeda,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha,
Yes.
motion passes.
Automated weather operating system for the airport.
Commissioners, next I have for you a request from La Clinica to remove conditions from the award of $10,000 in community development funding from 2022. The two conditions were, one, a requirement for plans to be completed, and two, that the project be close to the point of pulling a building permit. La Clinica was awarded this $10,000 in the 2022 budget. Earlier this year, February 14th, you approved giving them to the end of the year to use the funding. You'll see their letter and estimate attached, as well as the original application, so on and so forth. What they want to use that $10,000 for is this Strickler Services bill, which is for HVAC, which does not require the pulling of a building permit in order to complete this work. So there's no plans, there's no building permit.
What maintenance and upgrades is he doing?
It's on page 66.
Thank you.
I think Vashti's on line if you have questions.
You converting a gas furnace to LP wouldn't require a permit? Yeah.
State law requires a permit for every 1 year installation.
Right. Gas line from the lobby to the back wall. Right.
I don't believe Mr. Strickler is licensed plumber, but
HVAC.
It's LP, it's not a conversion from propane.
Want to identify yourself there, Vashti?
I'm sorry, this is Vashti.
And
It's LP and it's not a conversion.
I didn't understand that. What did you say?
Just trading out the equipment to be more efficient.
It's an upgrade of the equipment, trading out the equipment, and not a addition of a new one.
Oh,
a new 90% efficient furnace will be installed. And a new demand water heater.
So we don't have the authority to remove permit requirements.
Right, and this request is not to remove permit requirements. It's a request to remove the condition on when they can receive the funding.
But I think my point is they're going to need a permit, so we don't need to remove that request.
According to Mr. Strickler, we don't need a permit. That's why we asked for that to be taken off.
So we have a licensed plumber in the audience, Vashti, that is not agreeing with that statement.
I agree with the licensed plumber.
last license gas line.
Hey, Ryan.
Brian, would you cover the microphone, please identify yourself?
Ryan East, State Master Plumber licensed, bonded, insured. The conversion from tank to tankless unit is a serious undertaking. It's different venting, it's different water lines, it's different gas sizing. That alone would require an inspection. Under sink on-demand water heater, assuming is an electrical on-demand water heater, was a 220 outlet, 220 wiring. There's no, I mean, most sinks don't have that right there readily available. And the last one, says the gas line from lobby area back through the wall to the front office, up the wall, across the ceiling, along exposed wooden beam, down the wall, new wall to the kitchen water heater. That's at least 7 joints that would not be inspected by the state inspector for a gas leak. So with respect to Mr. Strickler, almost everything on this list would require a permit by the state. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate the clarification.
I'm sorry, we were not sure about that. Thank you very much for that. We'll get back to him.
So the request is to remove the requirement for plans to be completed. And the second would be that the project be close to a point of pulling the building permit. So your request that it wouldn't need a permit, we can't deal with that.
But
We-
are, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Are there plans? Because if there are plans, then we wouldn't need to take any action. Because you'd have plans and you'd have a permit.
So when I considered this request, I considered building permit as in one of our building permits, not in terms of a state electrical plumbing. That's it. Last year, do you guys have plans?
We only have the estimate that he gave us, and he didn't make it seem as if we needed any kind of permits or anything to move forward. And so we'll go back to him and we'll get plans and everything we need. So we'll start.
I think we're talking more about your plans for the building and the future and what your intended use is. If I remember correctly, the motion was, I would assume I probably made it, but we just wanted to, before giving funds out, we wanted to make sure that there's a plan in place. It's moving towards a goal. You know, there's positive things happening instead of just throwing money at a project that may or may not go anywhere. So I think the plans is more, what is your intention with the building? What is your future goals?
Oh, yeah. We definitely have plans and future goals for the building. We're actually doing a work meeting right now. So the whole board is here with me. But we're talking about getting an RN in or a dentist, or we're looking at all of the different things that we can have in the building to get this building going. So we needed that basic physical stuff to be fixed first. And Adam did not let us know that that was a bigger project than we were thinking. So we can definitely go back to him for that, but we definitely have big plans for.
So commissioners, another point of clarification. I guess when I interpret your instructions there, I interpret plans to not mean what you do with the building, to be more of stamp plans for a renovation project and not how you're going to use the space. So I don't know. That was a different board.
Yeah.
So
Did you read those minutes recently?
That was staff direction.
Okay.
So I don't know that we need building plans
Yeah.
for this.
Because it's an existing
Because
building.
it's right, it's pretty clear in the description of the line items in the estimate, right? So I don't know that we need stamped plans or construction drawings. But I do agree that with what Eric is saying, that we really want to see some kind of a development plan for the La Clinica moving forward.
Right. Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm set. You need plans for the development of La Clinica going forward and the permit pieces before the money can be dispersed to someone to work on it?
More like a business plan?
Well, I have a
plan, or-
point of clarity maybe that would help us all. So with these renovations that Mr. Strickler is proposing, if you complete these, will the building be in a condition where you can have a doctor or a dentist or somebody move into the facility?
Yes. We could probably have them move in now. We just want to do updates before we do that.
So once this is complete, we foresee that being an operational business or 501c3 or something being done with the building?
Yes, definitely.
I personally am fine with moving forward. I don't know if you want to just, for point of clarity, remove those items if you still think it needs to be removed. Because it is kind of an arbitrary, what plans are we talking about?
I think that we can remove the requirement for plans to be completed, number one. I don't think that, and I think we can say that number two goes away, that the project be close to the point of pulling a building permit. We can't waive the permit requirements for state inspections. Correct?
Right, but I don't know that she's gonna pull a county building permit, she's gonna pull a state permit, so should we just clean that up? Or just remove it?
So how about I don't know if the state will do this, so look back at Ryan here. If either a state permit is pulled or or a letter from the state inspector saying that permit's not required.
Proof of compliance with state requirements.
For as far as the code reads, removal and replacement of like items without moving their location is okay without a permit. But these are not like items. This is an 80% gas furnace being converted to a 90%er. There's different, that's PVC flue in and out combustion airs, as well as the tankless units. And it says, through the existing hole, it's a two-hole system. Well, it can be a concentric vent system. But my point being the permit for just replacing that equipment is cheap. They would just have to be compliant to make sure they're inspected. And for the most part, we're talking about propane emissions and carbon monoxide emissions would be the scary part of all of that. So to have the lines tested, especially 7 joints up and around and through a wall in different rooms, I would want to make sure that was done properly. So I'd be willing to pull a permit for the clinic if Mr. Strickler would work under that permit. If he's not licensed, I can't go there, but that again, I guess that's outside the scope. But yes,
Yeah,
the electrical, the gas, and the equipment all require permits according to the codes.
But there's nothing in this that would require a county permit. that you
Yeah, it
can-
wouldn't require a county permit nor a building permit, none of that. Maybe a sketch of the gas line and its route and isometric of the sketch, but without a building permit necessarily, there's no wall structural
So
change of plan.
would it be appropriate to have a motion that says we agree to remove these conditions providing we are submitted or provided proof of compliance with state requirements?
Yeah.
I would make a motion to remove the conditions from La Clinica's 2022 community development funding and authorize the distribution of funds, providing that La Clinica can give proof to the county of state compliance with the projected upgrades.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Vashti, are you okay with that? Vashti?
Thank you so much. Yes, we can definitely make that happen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, Carl, anything else?
Nope.
Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ojeda,
Yes.
Chairman Glacier.
Yes.
Motion passes. Commissioners, next I have for you an employment contract for the Huerfano County Administrator. Give that guy a raise.
I'm just gonna let you sit there and wait.
It's not your word. I've been doing that for about a month now.
Oh. I would make a motion to approve the county administrator contract with a huge gratitude to Carl and all that he does. Carl, did you get the figures that John asked you to get?
Had to get that list.
That's gonna take a while.
What do you think it is roughly?
Maybe 5 million. It's not that much.
Really?
It's really not.
Seems like more.
It does. It's a lot of work, but
I just wanted to continue to thank Carl, and we estimate that he has written grants in a large amount of millions of dollars for this county. So thank you for all your hard work.
Second that.
So I have a motion and a second discussion. And I too want to say thank you. I was pretty proud of what I did in 14 years, but I think that you're on pace to just kind of crush whatever I did. I appreciate you moving forward with new visions and what you do. So thank you very much. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Andrietta,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha.
Yes.
Make
Motion passes.
you sweat just a little bit longer.
And that is the end of action items.
Okay. Thank you. Staff reports.
So commissioners, I didn't do a full report. I instead, if you have a series of fun topics to discuss. The first of which I realized this afternoon, I meant to put this on the agenda. A letter to the Colorado Outdoor Recreation Office for Kacherman Park. PSC applied last year for an EDA grant. They need us to be a co-applicant on that application, which is at the point of contract is ready, everything's ready except and money is sitting there waiting for them. But this requirement, which should have been handled at the beginning, is handled at the end. For us to be a co-applicant as the landowner.
Can you remind me the scope?
So this project is mainly focused on renovating the ski lift. There are some other improvements. I think there's some staff money, a few other things like that in there, but the vast majority of the money is for the lift.
And the out-of-pocket expense to the county?
Zero. Well, we have spent some money up there, but in general, not a lot of money. $0 for this.
So do you need a motion to move forward?
Yes, if I get a motion for you to approve my signing of this letter, that would be good.
Make that motion.
Motion.
I'll second for the purpose of discussion.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'd just like to hear anyone else's thoughts.
Well,
on
so who's
pros and
gonna
cons.
be doing that reporting to the EDA?
State of Colorado.
The state of Colorado is doing the report to EDA.
Yes, so the state has the EDA grant.
Okay.
This is a pass through. So PSC has to report to the state and the state has to report to EDA.
Okay. And our commitment or our letter is just basically saying, yes, we are a co-applicant because we are a landowner.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Andretta,
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Commissioners, next I have for you the 2023 budget preparation memo. Yesterday morning, I was able to get these budget packages out the door. So as you can see, yesterday the budget packages were distributed. They are due back to me on September 11th. After which I'll start my initial review and present to you a preliminary budget on October 10th. We have till the 15th, but that's your ready for the meeting that week, and hopefully we don't have to have a special meeting. We haven't had to do that since I've been here. It's been a while, but it happens. The workshops with departments and agencies are scheduled for October 31st and November 7th. Elected officials mostly on October 31st, department heads on November 7th. The hearing is scheduled for the 14th. Final budget decision workshops that following Tuesday, the 21st, and then final adoption on the 12th. That said, all this will go out the window if Proposition HH passes. I have been talking to the assessor's office about how to do some sort of dual budget with two projections. But with population HH passes, the changes are in the assessed or in the rate assessment rates. And the assessor's office can't project what those changes would be. That is what I got from it. So basically, what they expect to do if it passes is to have to completely redo. They're gonna have to get like a software update essentially to change the rates in order to be able to calculate things and get it done by the new deadline, which will be, I think, in January, if Proposition HH passes. So all sorts of fun.
And the only department, what departments are affected by HH?
Oh, everybody.
It's revenue.
It's the
Like
property
assessor,
tax revenue.
treasurer.
All the general fund departments, so land use, all the elected officials, the DA, health department, all of us.
So there's,
Um,
they would all have to redo their budgets.
No,
That's
we'd have to redo our budget.
okay.
Their submissions with their request doesn't necessarily change, they get no change.
Right.
I struggled mightily to either put or not put in here a statement about the final, the judge's last ruling. Because what the judge sort of required us to do is track and show that we are giving everyone the same percentage of a budget, of their budget request. That was the core there. And we'll talk to Stan later today. But one of the cores there was, we didn't give Solano what he asked for, which we should have.
According to
According to the court. And then we also gave him something like 60% of his request, and everyone else got in the realm of 95, 96, 97% of their request. I really wish, instead of saying that everyone gets what they want, I wish I had said no one else makes a request above that far above baseline. But the judge has never been willing to consider the reality of we budget against baseline versus we budget against their requests and treat all requests equally. Because if someone gives us a request that is, I mean,
Out of line.
pie in the sky.
500-600% above baseline,
Yes.
like Solano, where Solano was in what, 2017, 2022, when this whole thing started. It's a complicated.
Yeah.
It's a little, you can't treat it the same way you treat someone that's asking for the same thing they got last year.
Mhm.
That's it, I will be giving you that number when we get to the budget presentation. I'll show you what the percentage is. And hopefully that there's not a whole lot of pain to dole out. Other than that, you can see all the packets and all the files that I gave them, the full thing, except for their individual department worksheets. So, any questions?
So how did that, I'm sorry, I'm not on that one, but on your next item, the assessor's total taxable value at 175 million.
Give me 1 second. I actually have my spreadsheets handy here. Spreadsheets. Fund. So this year, our 2023 assessed value is 145,804,658. And that brought in a total of $3,022,239 in revenues to the county. It's about 20.728 mils. Some of that's in refunds and abatements. At 175 assessed value, and I'm not including refunds and abatements here, so this is a little bit different. It turns that number, that total revenue number, into $3,633,986. So it's about a $600K increase.
So roughly 24% increase in assessed value results in how much? 600 and
611,000-ish dollars.
increase, okay. Is that it for administrative report?
It is.
Any questions, comments? County attorney report?
Hi, Commissioners. So I wanted to let you know that I did meet with land use this morning to talk about some land use violations that are going on, and I'm getting some letters out. They informed me that they'd like to make a push on some violations on Highway 504. And so that might get busy there a little bit as we do that. I'm hopeful that because of the relationship that they have established with the citizens and how positive and good that is, that we can actually get some cooperation and get these taken care of rather than having to litigate them. And so I'm hopeful that way, but I will be assisting them in drafting those letters. And other than our executive session coming up, I don't think I have anything else to report.
Okay. Questions? All right. Correspondence.
All right, Commissioners, item 9A is the assessed value disposition and register of protest report. John mentioned we have a preliminary assessed value of $175,894,757. And there are 294 protests filed with the assessor's office. We get our notice of our final number for the budget, at least until November, mid-August from the assessor's office, and that's what we use to set the budget. 9B is
I'm assuming that's a really high amount, 294 compared to previous years.
I didn't ask them, but I know for BOE hearings, that was an extraordinary amount compared to previous years. Next, you have a letter from the Colorado Springs Astronomical Society giving an overview of the Rocky Mountain Star Stair. Then I have a 9C that's tabulated from CTSI. What is civility and why does it matter? 9D is a total update on the Colorado Open Records Act. 9E is your Gardner Bulkwater monthly report. Sam, the report didn't make it in here.
Yes. E is the bulk water and F is the Gardner water report.
So
Wait, no, it isn't here. Never mind. I see what now. There's just two cover letters on here. Okay. We're good. Sorry, no panic. 9F is the Gardner Water and Sanitation District monthly report. 9G is the Huerfano County Treasurer's June 2023 monthly report. 9H is a letter from the Health Department on the county jail kitchen. This kitchen, according to the sheriff, is perhaps the first time it's been inspected in 20 or 30 years, which puts that right around the time the building was built.
Did we need to do anything to move that forward
Yes, a lot.
in the meeting today?
No.
Okay.
So where this started last week was a little bit of pure panic. The jail staff and the sheriff's office were figuring out meals, which last I heard, they were thinking some combination of Carl's Jr. and Subway for the immediate until they can get into pre-packaged meals, you know, your Hot Pockets, things like that. After that, They will need a hand sinks. They will need a new reach-in fridge. They were able to find one of those. They'll need drain boards attached to the three compartment sink. The big thing is that they're going to need a new hood, or they'll need a hood. They don't currently have a hood, which we are working on. That's probably going to be the biggest cost item that we have to figure out how to do. As far as the sinks and things like that, we did find there happens to be an auction going on that I sent to Chrissy and Chris, and they are going to, it actually closes today. We're going to try and bid on some things to try to get some of this stuff in here for little or nothing. And then I imagine that a certain plumber we're going to call to go and install this stuff. And then there's also some lighting issues as well. So they did have to toss out everything that was in the fridge because the fridge wasn't at temp. It was apparently a residential fridge, not a commercial fridge. So all sorts of fun for that. That said, the sheriff's office staff, I think, has responded best way possible. They've been on it. And our staff is helping out as well. To go along with this, there's also an HVAC situation over there too, where they had someone come out to look at a quick fix. And the sheriff has requested, based on the recommendation of that person that came out, to replace the HVAC system over there rather than refurbish it, which we had planned already.
Have they talked to the hospital? The hospital used to provide meals for us when we had issues before.
What Bruce has said is that he's spoken to different establishments. I don't know if he talked to the hospital directly, but I know that that relationship sort of ended a while ago.
10 years probably.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. But I remember at one point in time in the last few years, Bruce said something about they don't want to do that anymore.
That was, I mean, there's been a wholesale change out there. I would have that discussion again.
Okay.
It'll get really expensive and unhealthy to
Yeah,
do packaged or cross-generated.
big
Right.
time. Yeah.
So I'll ask Bruce about that.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate this happened. I'm glad that we're going to get it up and running, but do you know who placed the request to Los Animas County for the inspection? It wasn't our department.
I mean, in theory, these things are supposed to be inspected regularly.
It said it was requested that Los Animas Huerfano County District conduct a health inspection.
No idea. I mean, it could have been one of the inmates. It could have been anyone.
Sure.
I
I mean, it needs to be taken care of, and I'm grateful for that. Just curious if we knew.
you know, no idea. The item 9I is memo from Sky with an attached letter from Watoya Canyon property owners that wish to purchase the land that surrounds their homes that the county owns. Guys are working with those folks on coming up with a solution to move that project forward. Item 9J, the letter of support received from Sarah Jarvis regarding the Sonic Bloom Festival. 9K is a notification from the Spanish Peaks Library District asking us to confirm the resignation of Susanna Binsman from the Spanish Peaks Library District Board. So I actually request a motion for that.
Motion to approve the request from Spanish Speaks Library District to remove Susan Bensman as a trustee as she's resigned due to personal reasons.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second discussion. Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spluter,
Yes.
Commissioner Andretta,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha.
Yes.
Motion passes. And just a reminder that you do appoint that board. They set the rules in which those appointments are made, but you do make those appointments. 9L is the 2023 notice, final county notice evaluation for state assessed properties. And that's in correspondence.
Thank you. Next is an executive session.
Chairman, before you move into that, I do have one quick question. This is Eric. On action items number G, the amount that was approved through the end of the year, was that $7,000?
And
10.
10. All righty, thank you much.
Okay, so we, I believe, have the need for an executive session for the purpose of having a conference with the county attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS 24640224B, specifically Solano versus the Board of County Commissioners. And that executive session would be at 1 p.m.
are we waiting for Stan or can we move the time?
We're waiting for Stan.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just stay in the executive session between now and then,
No, you'd
We'll
recess.
recess
until
the
1.
regular.
recess into one. So moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There will be no decisions made during the executive session and no action after executive session. Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ojeda,
Yes.
Chairman Grisha.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. I'm going to recess the regular meeting until after the executive session. So we'll just entertain a motion at 1 o'clock to move into the executive session. So we are recessed until executive session.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.